So this is kind of like the next discussion that we're going to have regarding the Bitcoin and scaling Bitcoin, the good, the bad, and the ugly of whatever it is that we are building on top of. So I do have a wonderful panelist here. So I guess, what if we can start from, this gentleman over here. Please introduce yourself and what you're building, what kind of like your role in the ecosystem.
Hi, everyone. Hi. My name is Bowen, and I'm from Proximity. And Proximity is a research and development entity focused on NEAR, 100% focused on NEAR and growing the NEAR ecosystem with everyone. We used to take care of the DeFi ecosystem, now expanded our initiative together with the shift of focus on like blockchain operating system and also chain abstractions and also maybe like some potential new directions and sometimes take care of the go-to-market as well. Thank you.
Awesome. So please give round of applause for Bowen, please. And next we do have Firas, a very smart engineer, I'll say. I've been knowing him for several months here. So, please do introduce yourself and kind of like what you're currently building.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Firat. I've been in the ecosystem for nearly 2 years now. It's going to be 2 years in end of this month. I'm part of Pagoda, which is one of the core contributors to NEAR protocol, the protocol itself and tools around it. I'm a engineering manager who is involved in a couple of multi-chain chain abstraction products, mostly around multi-chain gas relayers and data availability layer.
All right, awesome. So again, a big round of applause for Firat, please. So I guess, let's dive deeper into what, let's talk about chain abstraction first before we move on to the Bitcoin part. So the first question is, what is chain abstraction from your perspective and why should anyone care? Let's start with Bowen first.
Sure. I think just maybe taking a step back to looking at the current market. Right now, we have like hundreds of chains, and among the 100 chains, there is like 100,000s of applications. Chain abstraction is one of the ways to address one of the fundamental user experience issue that we face right now, which is like to access an applications on various chains, you need to have a different set of wallets and also interact with the different sets of like infrastructure as well. And the user journey is very much fragmented. So chain abstraction basically allows you to use like single wallets on NEAR that can essentially like interact with all of the smart contract calls and also applications on different chains without noticing that you are going to different networks and bridging assets different networks.
Awesome. Yeah. So what about you, Firas? Maybe we can touch deeper into the technical standpoint because you do have background.
I mean, before even going technical in Web3, maybe we should talk about user experience around how things are in Web 2. And if we want to be better than Web 2, we should probably transcend the Web 2 experience. Right now, if you send an email from Gmail, you can get from your Microsoft account, right? So why can't we just replicate the same thing in Web 3? And chain abstraction movement is kind of what we're trying to do to kind of transcend that user experience where it doesn't matter where your assets live. It doesn't matter where your application is. What it matters is the experience. And building these technologies and infrastructure to kind of give that user experience to the user is what the chain abstraction movement is. It doesn't matter where your assets are or where your data lives, as long as you can use all these apps in an abstracted way. And if you want to go technically deeper,
Go on.
So the idea is that NEAR protocol will and right now is hosting a multi-party computation network that can act on users' behalf without actually keeping the shares of the private keys and sign transactions and send to the other chains, which means that you can just have one account on NEAR protocol that would allow you to use multiple chains, which means that at the end of the day, with actually building on top of it, these multi-chain gas relayers eventually being an intent relayer. It doesn't matter where your assets are. It just matters where you want to send your transaction to. Not even a transaction. Depends on what you want to do as an intent. So that's what we're trying to enable with the infrastructure that we're building.
Right, awesome. So I think like everything's boiled down to the user experience. Like we do care about our users. Like Jeff Bezos said, we need to have a what's the word, like customers obsessions. Like we need to obsess with our users on how we can kind of like give them the best experience that they have ever had. So let's move on to the next question. What's your take on scaling Bitcoin? Like this is our like panel title. So scaling Bitcoin. What is kind of like the good, the bad, and the ugly thing that you guys kind of like have in your mind when we talk about scaling Bitcoins? Let's start from Bowen first.
Okay. So I think networks like Bitcoins are pretty much like quite untapped market in the crypto market overall. You see smart contracts start growing and getting real adoption starting from like Ethereum and lots of like Ethereum layer 2s. But there's like Bitcoin like probably started this year. People realized that there's actually like more than 1 trillion of assets sitting on Bitcoin networks that's underutilized, right? And if you really just build a very simple smart contract or like very simple like side chains that enable Bitcoin transfers at a cheaper cost and also bring more utilities to those idle Bitcoin assets, people use them, right? You can see lots of like Bitcoin L2s coming up, and with very nascent technology, they can like attract billions of TVLs, right? So I think this market is pretty much like looking forward like various ways to bring more utility and bring more adoptions and enable like Bitcoins into more of a like financial systems in the crypto market. Again, then there's various approaches, right? I think if we really look at some of the Bitcoin L2s, some of the funds are not actually like directly depositing into the smart contracts, but like sitting on the custodial accounts, and those custodial accounts, like this various Bitcoin network L2s just whitelist those addresses, right? And they consider to be like asset deposit into the network, and in turn they mirror some assets and which are considered points, like in the Bitcoin L2s, and then enable like those mirror assets of Bitcoin assets like to be used on those like Bitcoin L2. And like I think it's not ideal in terms of like security level. I think what chain abstraction essentially does is like removes one of the ways of like locking assets and also bridging, like the necessity of bridging assets from one network and to another. It's a direct signing of transactions. That's probably going to improve on the security level a little bit, and the possibility is a little bit more as well. Right. You see that even like I don't know, there's a few participants in the market trying to like working on multi-chain and tapping into Bitcoin, like Thorchain, Zeta, Chainflip, and etc. I'm not sure, like not many people know that Thorchain actually does about maybe like around 0.5% to like 1% of the total Bitcoin trading volumes into this market, right? And that shows that the market has this decent interest. I think chain abstractions compared to Thorchain and others, it's this scalability of the systems by having one account controls many accounts, and those each individual accounts can become a smart contract, and we can build infrastructure and DeFi instruments on top. Unlocks more possibilities than some of the current existing solutions. So I personally am quite bullish. But in the end, we're gonna come down to our user experience. So user experience is gonna be the key. I'm very much looking forward, like everyone else, how how chain abstraction will be used on scaling Bitcoin and potentially unlocking more of the assets on various other like non-smart contract chains as well.
Awesome. So yeah, I think well, you mentioned like security, like obviously if you take a deeper look at what Near is currently building with chain abstraction, I believe like the security wise it is a lot better compared to this like bridgeless multi-sig that is owned by several people, several companies. But yeah, let's see what Virat's get for the scaling Bitcoin. Like maybe you can also touch into the technical standpoint as well.
Yeah, I'm not really a Bitcoin expert, but I can try. So I'm gonna probably echo what Bowen has been saying. There's in the last year or two, Bitcoin rollups or Bitcoin L2s has been coming into play. To be completely honest, like Bitcoin is the most decentralized asset that we have in the world right now. So it makes sense to kind of base the security of your system on that. How you do it, it kind of depends. Like you said, there's multi-sig contracts, multi-sig L2s, which is not great. There's side chains, which is okay. You have to bridge your asset, then you have to wrap it. And there's roll-ups that are coming in, which I think are very interesting. But still, it's in development. How we're trying to approach is in chain. So that's the kind of like the good part is that it's very decentralized, right? So we should probably tap into also that part of Bitcoin using its security to create systems on top of it. The bad is wrapped assets. Not so great. Bridging experience is not so great. Finality is 10 minutes. It's not so great to do any execution in a meaningful time. The ugly, I would say, is we're still in this space where not everything is defined yet. We don't know how to exactly use it because it's not you cannot execute something directly on Bitcoin because you cannot run smart contracts, right? How we're trying to solve this with chain abstraction is, at Near side at least, providing an execution layer for Bitcoin DeFi primitives, where you can hold a Bitcoin asset through chain signatures and then write the smart contract on Near in Rust, on JavaScript, whatever you want to use, and then swap the assets based on a certain business logic, which is very powerful when you think about it, because you don't even have to interact with Bitcoin itself. It's just account swapping. It's just swapping of the keys, which I think David's going to talk later during the day, which is a very, very powerful primitive, right? Because you have instant finality, not instant, but finality of Near chain, which is around 3 blocks, which is something that we haven't seen in any other chain as far as I know, which is very exciting to me and should be very exciting for the builders too, because then that opens up a whole new space for these executionless L1s that they can use Near's multi-party computation to even swap 2 different executionless L1 assets, which is crazy if you think about it, and something that hasn't been really in the play until now. So I think that is something that I'm very much looking forward to.
Awesome. So yeah, I think, just want to touch some point over there, like the experience that chain abstraction is going to provide to the end user is going to be very different compared to what we have right now. So it's going to be very experimental. The user journey will be very much different, in which I don't know if the crypto native would probably likes or not, but overall the end users is kind of the mainstream user is kind of the end goals here to make sure that we can onboard these users. So I don't think new journeys they haven't even been in crypto. So that's kind of the target that we probably gonna focus on. The next question is, so how chain abstraction would and should be implemented. So there's gonna be like I mentioned earlier, there's gonna be a lot of journeys from your perspective how it should be implemented. So it's gonna be on the app level. Is it gonna be on the wallet level, protocol level, bridgeless? What's kind of the best experience that you guys might think about on how we can implement it?
All layers.
Sorry?
All layers. All the layers that you talk about.
Yeah.
Play into the chain abstraction.
Yeah. Let's.
I can maybe start. So right now, what we're building on Near protocol side is pretty much using protocol. It's not specifically on protocol, but we will be introducing new protocol features to enable chain abstraction, right? So it starts from the bottom. And then as you go on top, you can use smart contracts, and then you can use maybe multi-chain indexers, and on top of it, use multi-chain wallets to give the user the experience that they're only using one system while they're using multiple systems underneath to control multiple assets in multiple places. The part that we should be also looking into is how do we do this trustlessly, right? That's where the bridges come into play, or light clients come into play. You need to have some kind of a proof that something happened on the other side, on near, to either unlock assets or to execute some logic. So everything, all the way from protocol up until applications on the wallet, is part of chain abstraction.
Yeah, maybe like just want to touch a little bit about the light client, for example. Do you think like the light client is gonna be on the protocol level? There's gonna be like a lot of light clients, like for example, ICP. ICP did have Bitcoin indexers running on top of the ICP as a smart contracts. Do you think that's something that Near protocol should also do as well?
David can answer it. I think he's gonna talk about it a little.
All right, awesome. So
But
yeah.
But I do believe that if you're gonna build trustless systems and there's gonna be communication between chains, there has to be some kind of a cross-chain communication channel, which could be using light clients or which could be using bridges. I don't know how exactly ICP used to do it. As I said, David can talk to it more than I do. But yes.
Awesome. So yeah, what about you, Bond?
Yeah, I agree with Firat. But I think I'm more keen or leaning towards seeing potential some of the like great innovations on the app level. If we just talk about like DeFi applications and what we call like DeFi apps, like most of the DeFi applications right now in today's market is really just like one front end layer calling very simple smart contracts and serving one like or several specific focuses of function calls on the back end, right? And if we like mirror that user experience in the real world when you interact with like financial like even like brokerage systems, like there's usually just one platform or like any of like bank transfers and things, or bank systems. There's one system, one applications that interact with and shows you various financial services and allow you to seamlessly to access various functions or services like without knowing the terms of like bridge, like transferring assets between different accounts just as a transfer. It's not like bridge, right? And also buying a stock on like Hang Seng index or buying a stock on like NASDAQ or New York Exchange. You don't need to know this stock is actually listed on somewhere. You just know that I'm buying a stock of a company, right? So I think with the enabling of chain abstraction and even like blockchain operating system, there's various ways that you can try to restructure today's front-end user experience, or really just like retail-facing user experience. Redesign it. Think about how you can, with the possibilities unlocks with chain abstraction and with on the back end, and also chain blockchain operating system on the front end with the composability and everything, how you want to redesign an app today that serves for the interest of to welcome more newcomers into the market with more of a familiar user interface and user journey that you want to craft for them, right? And another perspective is like, I think, well, I'm a DeFi farmer, right? And I think right now in today's world, especially in this area, different layer twos, many of the layer twos just coming out, in my perspective, more for like valuation purposes, right? there's no needs for like 100 layer 2s in the market, coexisting in the market. Ideally, I think there's sometimes there's ought to be a battle, and each of the layer 2s that will remain standing will probably like craft their own business identity and unique business use cases that users remember them for specific purpose layer 2s, right? And if that happens, like with chain abstraction, really just like need to have one account on Near that can basically interact with all this specific purpose, whether to be like app chains or like Ethereum layer 2s or even like Bitcoin XRPs. Trying to navigate users for what they need, and on the back end you already sorted out, and it just allow users to access the financial services that they want without knowing, or I'm going to optimism for that. I'm going like I don't know, Arbitrum for that. Right? Yes. So app level,
Yeah. So I think like again, like it's like we need to kind of like welcome these new users from like the non-crypto space to kind of like jump in the cryptos and, you know, feel the wonderful world of Web3. I guess, you know, let's move on. Like this is going to be like the last questions. So what can we expect from chain abstraction that you guys are utilizing? Like for example, Bowens, you're focusing on dApp, if I'm mistaken, and maybe there's some alpha, share some alpha with us. Also, Firas, what are things that we can expect, you know, from the Pagoda? Like, is there any kind of like new protocol stuff? How about the securities and whatnot? So, you know, please do share like what can you expect from, you know, from your products and also chain abstractions.
Sure. Yeah, well, I think from my perspective, I'm just a business person, marketing person, more focused on what users, well, ultimately actually like the products that reach out to the users, that users will be interacting with. So with chain abstraction, like the term abstracting is very like essential here. So I like ideally with the with the chain abstraction technology, we can abstract away many of the unnecessary user steps, whether to be like that what they're doing on the front end, or like Exploit trying to tap into Bitcoin layer 2s and others, like even like ones that we're using to unlock. I think Proximity we're doing some demos on some like hacking around the Dogecoins. Yeah. So bring like smart contract ability on Dogecoins. Like the first layer is trying to make it fun and make more assets more accessible to the users as a first point. And second point is with these accessibilities of all these assets, and try to reutilize some of the idle assets in the market and bring some of the financial values and really focus on the user experience and actually focusing on abstracting away many of the user steps that's not needed. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Bowen. So what about you, Firas?
Yeah, so Pagoda has been working on multiple chain abstraction products until now. The first one was the decentralized front ends, which powers DApp. That's still ongoing. Charles is here. He's leading that initiative. I think you guys are going to be releasing the V2 of the VM very soon. That's one. The other one is what David is working on is chain signatures, which what we've been talking about and how you're building your product right now on. On top of that, we're also trying to abstract the gas part of it. So like if I have an account on Near and I only have Near, if I want to do something with Ethereum, how does that work? And I'm going to give a talk about it today if you guys want to listen to it, how we're trying to solve it. On top of that, there's even more to it. I have 5 Near. I want to buy a NFT on some marketplace. How does that work? These are something that has been going on. Anoma is working on. There's a Cape framework. It's intent relayers and how that works. That's something that we've been working on right now. Let me think what else. We've been also working on data availability layer, which is reducing the costs for Ethereum L2s because there's a lot of block space requirements for the L2s. That is also working towards chain abstraction idea where the users shouldn't really care about how much one layer 2 costs. It should be probably abstracted and should go to zero at some point for the users. Those are the products that we've been working on and we're going to still be pushing. And we're built very bullish from chain abstraction.
Yeah, well, maybe just a special, like some shout out to the DevDev team. What they are working on, just some leaks. They are, the position of DevDev is trying to be the universal single entry point into all Ethereum layer 2s. Right? So they're working with all layer 2s in the market. And one of the things is like with Polygon CDK chain stack and also OP stack and Arbitrum stacks, like the stacks all have familiar tech stacks, and they really can be like one single entry point that tapped into the like one of the like stacked ecosystems. So they're working with like was Polygon more heavily on building the single entry point into the CDK ecosystems and tapping with one wallet, tapping to like Canto, X1, and also like S-Star and things. And so users and user traffic will be redirected in these closed ecosystems with one single interface and single platforms. And expanded to that, like this initiative can be expanded to like all layer 2s. Right now they have like 18 chains and 150 applications all in one platform. And since launch, they have gained 76,000 users in 30 days. So like pretty impressive numbers, right? And so, yeah, well, there's a lot more new things. I think Near, with all this developer out here, we here at Innovate, right? Near has a very good, very solid fundamental stack in the market, probably one of the best, if not the best. And all you need to do, think as a developer and think as a founder, is trying to think about how you can interact and utilize some of the technology and bring into real user experience. And I think there's a lot of like potential and possible ways that you can build your business on top of Near.
Right, great. So that's the alpha, guys. So like again, like Bowen mentioned earlier, like Near has the best tech to onboard users, and it's kind of like proven with, like, for example, Hot Wallets. They managed to onboard 1 million users in just a couple days. DapDap's 76,000 users. And for us, like EastBlue, like in the last 2 days, we've been launching this airdrop campaigns in which we gather almost 20,000 users into Near. So yeah, I do agree that chain abstraction is bullish. It's gonna be the future. And think that's pretty much it for this panel. Thank you so much, Bowen. Thank you so much, Firat, for all the insight that you guys gave to us. So yeah, let's kind of like see how the future look like in the next couple of months with chain abstraction. Thank you so much.
Thank you.